What's going on, everyone? Here we have the Tinyhawk 2 from EMAX. This is their newest quad from their Tinyhawk line of quads, and with the amazing success of the Tinyhawk in the past, did EMAX live up to their new standard with the Tinyhawk 2? Well, we're going to take a look and check that out. One thing to keep in mind is this review comes from the perspective of a racer, as I really push the hell out of these little things in our races, sometimes asking more from the quad than it can handle. But the question is, can it hold up? Well, we're going to take a look and answer that question today. Stay tuned. So let's go over a quick spec of the Hawk 2. Right off the bat, we have the amazing RunCam 2 Nano. It has an amazing image quality, especially compared to the cameras that are on the original Hawk and the Tinyhawk S. One other good thing to note about this is the camera is actually adjustable, which means you can adjust your angle for slower flying or very, very fast flying like I'm used to doing. So another thing to talk about right off the bat is the upgraded frame from this Tinyhawk. Now, if you've ever seen the other Tinyhawks in the past, you can obviously tell that this frame looks a lot different. And I'm assuming from the design of this frame versus the other frame, it's supposed to be a lot more durable. And I can honestly attest to that because it might not look like it, but I crashed the hell out of this quad a lot of times and nothing's broken, not yet. So let's talk about some of the motors, or let's talk about the motors that are on this quad. We are rocking an 0802 16,000 kV motor running a 4-blade turtle mode prop. So this motor is advertised to have like 7% more power than its previous versions, which in the micro world is actually quite a bit of difference. Now, I want to talk about probably the most important part of this quad and why it is so damn good. And that's probably due in part to the direct solder on the motors. Now, this was a big one because in the previous versions, the motors were connected to the board via connector. And while that still worked, the previous models had so much more potential than everyone realized. All that it was missing was a simple direct solder to the board. Man, it makes a huge, huge difference, a world of difference in the performance of the quad and the overall flight experience. And it's really nice to see that, they already done this one to the Hawk 2 right out of the box. After having both the previous versions of the Hawks, I had to get my hands on this quad when it was released. With our chapter's mid-season Whoop Throwdown race on approach, which was literally our biggest rate to date, and also taking into consideration that it's not a good idea to change your gear and change your setup before a big event like that, I kind of took the chance. But right out the box, I installed the Jazz Maverick 24K ESC firmware. Of course, that's going to let me rock that RPM filtering. I threw my rates on it and I went for it. So on the start line, I truly had no idea what to expect from this quad. After the tones dropped, I punched that throttle, and when I say it took off, it took off. Through the start gate I went, and before I knew it, I had completed one lap and then another, and finally finishing the first race with this quad. All that I can really say from that first experience was holy shitballs. It did not take but a few stick throws to get used to flying it. And ripping it around this track, I could really feel the difference in power that it has over the Hawk S. And that made for overall better handling in both straights and turns. I mean, when I slammed the sticks all the way to the end of the throw, this quad took it like a champ, following every movement as if it were 100% in tune and not losing its track or washing out. My ability to transition from the Hawk S to the Hawk 2 in one of the most important races of the season made a huge difference in my ability to send my quad through the finish line and take home the first place trophy. So one of the major worries right off the bat that I had about this quad was the fact that the camera, considering it's in its own separate housing atop the frame, could be vulnerable in crashes because, as you all know, we crash the hell out of these quads, and a lot of times they like to land on the top. And I was worried that with a hard enough crash landing on this camera, that the camera angle could change, thus in turn affecting my ability to fly the quad or finish the race. But as of now, I can confidently say that out of all the crashes I've had with this quad, that has yet to happen. So after flying many more packs through this little quad and a lot more crashes and a few more wins under my belt, like the one at the FedEx Institute of Technology, which was an awesome race, a big race of the season, I really gotta recommend this quad to anybody. I mean, the performance that you get out of it is just phenomenal. It is really a top-of-the-line product in both quality and ability to take what the pilot throws at it. So, I really hope you guys enjoyed this review of the Tinyhawk 2. And if you have and want to see more, hit that subscribe button to stay informed for more Hawk content, because we have a lot more races this winter season, and I'm looking forward to pushing this thing as hard as I can. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Take care.